Have you ever felt trapped in a dizzying cycle of confusion, low self-esteem, and self-doubt in your love life? Do you recognize the seemingly harmless words that are slowly chipping away at your confidence? Or do you find yourself endlessly trying to find fault in your partner, forgetting that the most crucial journey is the one back to yourself? Today, we will not only expose the 10 most toxic phrases you might be hearing, phrases that silently destroy your confidence every day. More importantly, we will delve into the psychology and neuroscience behind them, exploring how they impact your brain and emotions. And best of all, we will learn how to apply the powerful principles of self-mastery from the Shaolin Temple, as taught by Master Shi Heng Yi, to not only identify the problem, but also to find the genuine strength within you to break free and build a more fulfilling life. This isn't just an article. This is a map to your escape, a key to understanding yourself, and an affirmation that the true power to leave isn't in realizing he is wrong, but in realizing you are right. Stay with me, because you are about to discover the hidden power within you to determine your own destiny, without letting any words or any other person control you for another second. The invisible trap of emotional manipulation. A relationship, which should be a sanctuary of love, support, and growth, can sometimes become an emotional prison. This is where we encounter emotional manipulation, a subtle form of control, vastly different from typical arguments or disagreements. Manipulation leaves no physical bruises, but it carves deep, invisible scars on the soul, eroding self-worth and distorting its victim's perception of reality. The manipulator's goal always revolves around maintaining power, controlling others, evading responsibility, and satisfying their own selfish needs. They are often individuals plagued by deep-seated insecurities, a lack of genuine empathy, and sometimes prominent narcissistic traits. They are not concerned with your feelings or needs. They only want you to submit to their will. The danger of emotional manipulation lies in its insidious nature. It isn't physically violent or overtly aggressive. It is skillfully disguised under a cloak of love, concern, or sacrifice. I only do this because I love you. I'm just worried about you. That's why I'm saying this. These phrases, seemingly full of care, are a smokescreen for the intent to control. Even more terrifying is that manipulation often unfolds gradually. Like water eroding stone, it wears down your confidence and perception over time. It starts with a small comment, then a coercive piece of advice, and slowly you find yourself isolated from friends and family, your precious support network. The manipulator also creates a cycle of abuse. A period of tension erupts into manipulation, followed by a phase of false reconciliation or a honeymoon. It is these rare moments of sweetness that plant false hope in the victim, keeping them trapped, believing things will get better, that their partner will change. The psychological consequences of being manipulated are severe. Victims gradually lose their self-esteem and begin to doubt their own judgment and reality, a classic effect of gaslighting. They may develop anxiety, depression, and even complex post-traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD. A trauma bond forms, making it incredibly difficult to leave, even when they know they are being harmed. Their lives are profoundly affected, from work and studies to social relationships, and their ability to trust others in the future is severely weakened. The 10 archetypes of manipulation. Manipulators are masters of using language to control. Below are 10 of the most common types of phrases they use, along with a deep psychological analysis and real-life stories to help you see the bigger picture. You're just too sensitive. You're overreacting. This is a classic gaslighting tactic used when the manipulator wants to deflect responsibility for their actions. Instead of acknowledging their mistake, they attack your reality and emotions, aiming to make you question your own reactions, judgment, and even your sanity. Their motive stems from deep insecurity, an inability to face their flaws, and a desperate need to control the narrative. Their goal is to make you feel like you are the problem, that your thoughts are irrational, making you easier to control and less likely to speak up again. Your feeling of guilt or craziness is the victory they seek. After Chloe excitedly shared news about a successful project, her boyfriend Ethan merely glanced up from his phone and said dismissively, "Yeah, that's cool." Chloe felt a pang of disappointment When she expressed her feelings, Ethan immediately waved his hand, annoyed. "You're just too sensitive, Chloe. I'm just tired. Don't overreact." Instantly, Chloe's disappointment turned to guilt. She wondered if she truly was too needy, too demanding. Her initial joy vanished, replaced by self-blame. She began to hesitate in expressing her true feelings, believing they were a burden. When you hear such dismissals, it's crucial to pause and look inward. The power isn't in proving them wrong, but in listening to yourself. Your emotions are the most reliable signals from your inner self. The manipulator wants to sever this connection to your intuition. But if you stand firm in your feelings, knowing you have the right to feel them, that your reaction is valid, their external denials will lose all power to distort your reality. This is you giving yourself permission to be right without needing anyone else's validation. "I was just kidding. Why can't you take a joke?" This is a tactic used to devalue you under the guise of humor or teasing. These words are actually veiled criticisms, insults, or ridicule. When you get upset, the manipulator uses this line to evade responsibility and make you feel inadequate, humorless, or socially inept. Their motive is a fundamental lack of respect and an inability to confront the truth of their behavior. The goal is to force you to accept being disrespected while testing your boundaries. If you don't react, they will push further, using this behavior as a tool of control. At a party, Dylan repeatedly made jokes about Ava's simple style of dress in front of their friends. Ava felt embarrassed and hurt. She tried to laugh it off, but finally couldn't take it anymore and said, "Please stop." Dylan just shrugged with a look of feigned confusion and disappointment. "I was just kidding, Ava. Why can't you take a joke? Everyone else thinks it's funny." Suddenly, Ava felt rigid and out of place amidst the laughter. She started to believe she lacked a sense of humor and from then on grew anxious and self-conscious about her clothing, trying to avoid being the butt of a joke again. To counter this belittling, you must master your mind and cultivate self-discipline. Control your reaction. Don't let their words define your worth or label your feelings as humorless. True power lies in holding fast to your sense of self and knowing you deserve respect, not thinly veiled insults. This requires the willpower to not let your mind spiral into their negative narrative, thereby protecting your inner peace and preserving your integrity. "You'll never find anyone better than me." This is a direct attempt to instill fear and erode your self-esteem to its lowest point. The manipulator is deeply insecure and knows they are toxic, but they don't want you to leave. Their motive is a profound fear of abandonment, loss of control, and their own feelings of worthlessness. Their goal is to make you believe you are worthless, that you have no other options, and that you'll never find happiness without them. By destroying your belief in your own potential, they create a mental prison, binding you to the relationship. Every time Mia tried to break up with Liam, unable to bear his control and demeaning words, he would grip her hand tightly, look into her eyes with an intense gaze, and say in a powerful, desperate tone, "Mia, you'll never find anyone better than me. Who else would put up with you? You're lucky to have me. No one else will want you with all your issues." Mia began to doubt herself deeply, feeling useless and unworthy of anyone else. The fear of loneliness and her own perceived flaws kept her chained to the relationship for years, despite the growing pain and exhaustion. When imprisoned by these threats, it is essential to turn your gaze inward and reaffirm your true worth. Power doesn't come from finding evidence of their flaws, but from steadfastly believing in your own rightness. Liam's words stem from his fear and insecurity, not the truth of Mia's value. Mia deserves unconditional love and respect. Realizing and holding on to this belief is the key to freeing herself from the fear of abandonment and the self-doubt they have sown, allowing her to see a path to escape. "If you really loved me, you would do what I want." This is a blatant act of conditioning love and controlling behavior. The manipulator places conditions on their affection to compel you to act according to their will, forcing you to prove your love through unconditional compliance. Their motive is selfishness and an extreme need for control. They see love as a tool to achieve personal goals and dictate your every decision. They are often insecure individuals who view relationships as transactional. You must pay with submission to receive love. Noah wanted Isabella to quit the job she loved to move to another state with him, even though her dream was to stay in the city. He didn't force her directly, but would whisper softly, emotionally, and with a look of hurt. If you really loved me, Isabella, you'd understand and sacrifice for me. Love means we do things together, even if it's hard for one of us. My happiness should matter to you more than your career. Isabella felt torn apart, caught between her love and her dreams. She started to believe that keeping her job was selfish, that it meant she didn't love him enough. The immense pressure to abandon herself for love weighed on her, causing her to lose a vital part of herself. To escape this emotional trap, you need to awaken your awareness and practice mindfulness. Mindfulness allows you to see the true nature of the situation without being clouded by emotion or manipulation. True love is unconditional and encourages personal growth, not blind sacrifice or manipulation. When you practice mindfulness, you can observe Noah's words and recognize that his request is veiled in emotion to manipulate you. This awareness allows you to separate emotion from fact and see the truth. This is not love. It is control. I don't trust your friends. They're a bad influence on you. This is a subtle but incredibly effective tactic of social isolation and control. The manipulator's deep-seated motive is insecurity and the fear of losing control. They view your external support systems, friends, family, colleagues, as a threat to their power over you. Their goal is to sever your support network, making you entirely dependent on them, and thus more susceptible to manipulation. When you have no one to confide in or to validate your experiences, you lose objective perspectives and your perception of reality becomes easily distorted. Harper had a close-knit group of independent female friends. As she started spending more time with them, her boyfriend Mason would often frown with a look of feigned concern. "Harper, I don't trust your friends," he'd say. "They're just going to fill your head with bad ideas, and I worry about you. They don't have your best interests at heart like I do." At first, Harper defended them, but after hearing his insinuations and seeing his displeased looks repeatedly, she grew confused. She began to question if her friends were truly good for her and gradually saw them less, fearing it would upset Mason and that she herself might be negatively influenced. She felt more alone than ever, with no one to trust but him. To fight this isolation, you must center your mind on your core self and trust your own judgment. Strength lies in maintaining your integrity and independence. You have the right to independent relationships and to trust your intuition about the people you love. Power comes from fiercely protecting your support network and not allowing anyone to sabotage it, because those connections are a critical part of a balanced life. I know you're busy, but I just get so lonely without you. This is a very common form of guilt tripping. The manipulator doesn't directly forbid or demand. Instead, they use their loneliness, sadness, or weakness to create emotional pressure, making you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself or plans that don't include them. Their motive is self-centeredness and a constant need for attention, often stemming from deep insecurity and emotional dependency on you. The goal is to make you cancel your personal plans, give up your hobbies, and prioritize them above all else, orienting your life around their needs. Sophia was a busy event manager who often worked late. Whenever she had a major event requiring her to work through the night, her boyfriend, James, would text or call with a sad, suggestive tone, "I know you're super busy, Sophia, but I just get so lonely without you. I wish you were home with me. It's just not the same. I can barely sleep when you're not here." Sophia felt a heavy weight on her shoulders. She often worked anxiously and rushed, sometimes canceling important personal plans to go home and rescue James from his loneliness, even knowing her work was waiting. She began to feel exhausted from constantly balancing her career and his sadness. To deal with this type of manipulation, it is essential to master your mind and practice self-discipline. You need to control that feeling of guilt, not let it dictate your behavior. You have the right to your own life and to prioritize yourself. Mental discipline allows you to set firm boundaries without being swayed by others' emotions, protecting your time and energy. It's about establishing control over your own life, not being pulled into someone else's emotional vortex. I already told your family, your best friend, how difficult you've been. They agreed with me. This is a triangulation tactic, which is incredibly toxic because it undermines your trust in your loved ones and your support network. The manipulator's motive is weakness and a fear of direct confrontation. They lack the courage to discuss issues with you face to face. Their purpose is to pull a third party into the conflict to create pressure, making you feel isolated, outnumbered, and wrong, even if the story has been twisted or entirely fabricated. They want you to believe that you are the problem and that everyone else sees it too, thereby crippling your confidence. After an argument where Olivia felt justified in setting a boundary, her boyfriend, Lucas, suddenly said with a serious, falsely empathetic expression, "Olivia, I already told your mom how difficult you've been. She actually agreed with me. And my friends think you're overreacting too, so it's not just me. Everyone sees it." Olivia was shocked, feeling as if the whole world was against her. She began to wonder if she really was as difficult as they said, and her trust in her own family was shaken. She felt utterly alone with nowhere to turn, lost in her own perception. In this situation, awareness and mindfulness are the keys to liberation. Mindfulness helps you observe without judgment, to see through to the true nature of things. You must trust your intuition and the real relationships you have with your loved ones, not letting the manipulator's words destroy that trust. Mindfulness helps you hold on to your perception of reality, refusing to let it be distorted by lies, allowing you to see the true nature of your relationships with clarity. I don't know how you could expect that from me. You know what I've been through. This is the act of weaponizing past trauma. The manipulator's motive is a lack of accountability and an inability to self-reflect. They don't want to change or meet your needs. Their goal is to use their past painful experiences, real or exaggerated, as a shield to evade current responsibilities, avoid change, and make you feel guilty for demanding things from them. By doing so, they cast themselves as the perpetual victim, forcing you to carry their emotional baggage and place their needs above your own. When Grace asked her boyfriend Noah to be more open about his feelings, he would sigh with a look of extreme pain. "Grace, I don't know how you could expect that from me. You know what I've been through with my family. I can't just change. I'm wired this way because of my past." Grace felt powerless. Her desire for connection was reframed as insensitivity, and she told herself she had to accept him because of his circumstances, forgetting her own emotional needs. She started to believe she was too demanding and selfish for not being more understanding. When you hear these words, it's critical to look deep within and recognize the limits of empathy. You have a right to your own needs and are not responsible for carrying the entire weight of their past. Empathy is necessary, but it is not an excuse for irresponsibility or for stunting your own growth and happiness. Strength lies in setting healthy boundaries for yourself, knowing when to stop giving in order to protect yourself. "I can't believe you forgot something so important. I definitely told you." This is a subtle form of gaslighting that targets your memory, one of the most insidious forms of manipulation. The manipulator's motive is a fear of being exposed or blamed. They want to control the narrative and the truth. Their goal is to make you doubt your memory, your perception, and even your sanity, so you can no longer trust yourself and become easier to control. By attacking your cognition, they gain complete control, making you dependent on them for validating reality itself. Chloe's boyfriend, Liam, had supposedly made dinner plans for Friday, but on Friday afternoon, he suddenly canceled and blamed her for forgetting. Chloe was surprised. She had no recollection of the plan. Liam immediately raised his voice, full of disappointment and anger. "I can't believe you forgot something so important, Chloe. I definitely told you about it. You must not have been listening. You never pay attention." Chloe was thrown into a state of panic. She scrambled through texts and calendars, wondering if her memory was failing. She gradually stopped trusting what she remembered, becoming dependent on Liam to confirm everything, losing all confidence in her own mind. To fight this manipulation, you must cultivate self-mastery and mental discipline. Your mind must be your ally, not your enemy. Trust your memory and your perception. Mental discipline allows you to hold your ground against this assault, refusing to let their words warp your reality. This is a personal battle to hold on to yourself and protect your own sanity. You can't accept my help. If you always do everything yourself, what's my purpose? This phrase weaponizes a feigned sense of dependency to exert control. The manipulator's motive is a high need for control and to feel needed, often stemming from their own deep insecurities and a desire for power over you. Their goal is to make you dependent on them in every way, financially, emotionally, and for even the smallest tasks. By doing so, they feel they have a purpose and power. They diminish your competence and make you feel guilty for being self-sufficient, all to keep you in a weakened position and prevent you from becoming an independent person. Noah had a habit of interfering in everything Lily did, from choosing a movie to how she arranged her furniture. One day, Lily successfully fixed an app on her phone without his help. Noah looked at her with a sad, wounded expression. "Lily, you can't accept my help? If you always do everything yourself, what's my purpose? I thought you needed me. I just want to feel useful to you. Why do you push me away?" Lily felt guilty for her own competence, thinking her independence was hurting him. She began to shy away from showcasing her abilities, constantly asking herself, "Am I too strong?" ultimately eroding her confidence in her own capabilities. When facing this manipulation, it is essential to take decisive action to assert your independence. You have a right to be self-reliant and do not need someone else to define your value or purpose. Your ability to do things for yourself does not diminish another's worth. It affirms your own. This is a powerful declaration of self-sovereignty, and sometimes the most powerful action is to walk away to protect it. The science of power in "you are right." When faced with these manipulative phrases, feeling confused, insecure, or doubtful is a natural response. However, behind this turmoil lie profound psychological and neurological mechanisms. Realizing "you are right" is not just an emotional outburst, it's a process backed by science, granting you the real power to walk away. Self-determination theory, SDT, reclaiming your core needs. SDT posits that humans have three innate psychological needs that must be met for healthy development. Autonomy, the feeling of being in control of your own life, making choices freely. Competence, the feeling of being capable and effective, mastering skills and challenges. Relatedness, the feeling of being connected, loved, and belonging to a community. In toxic relationships, manipulators systematically attack these three needs. Gaslighting destroys your autonomy and competence. Social isolation attacks your need for healthy relatedness. When these core needs are deprived, you feel lost, depleted, and unmotivated. Realizing "you are right" is the act of reclaiming your autonomy. You decide your own worth and act on that knowledge, independent of another's words. This is the first step in restoring these three core needs, helping you feel powerful and in control of your life once more. Cognitive dissonance theory, overcoming mental conflict. Our brains seek consistency between our beliefs and actions. When you believe "I deserve to be loved and respected," but are in a relationship where you are constantly devalued, a conflict arises. This creates an uncomfortable mental state called cognitive dissonance. To reduce this discomfort, you either change your belief, "Maybe I'm not that great," "Maybe I deserve this," or change your action. Victims often unconsciously choose the former. However, when you realize "you are right," you are fiercely holding on to your core belief of self-worth. This magnifies the cognitive dissonance of staying in the toxic relationship. The conflict becomes too great to ignore. The only remaining path to resolve it is to change the reality by leaving the relationship. This is a powerful internal motivator that compels you to act. Self-affirmation theory. Rebuilding self-esteem. This theory suggests that when our self-worth is threatened, we instinctively seek to reaffirm our core values: kindness, intelligence, independence, etc. This helps us maintain a positive and integral sense of self. In a manipulative relationship, your value is under constant assault. Realizing "you are right" is a powerful act of self-affirmation. You are defiantly reasserting your core values and reinforcing your identity as a worthy individual, regardless of what anyone else says. This act restores self-esteem, rebuilds confidence, and provides the strength to set boundaries and protect yourself. The brain's reward system and dopamine, breaking the toxic cycle. Our brain's reward system releases dopamine when we anticipate or receive something valuable. This motivation molecule drives us to repeat behaviors. In a toxic relationship, this system can be hijacked. Intermittent rewards, a rare compliment, a moment of peace in the abuse cycle, can create a neurological loop that makes leaving difficult as the brain seeks those familiar, albeit damaging rewards. However, when you realize you are right, by affirming your value, setting a boundary, or deciding to leave, your brain registers this as a profound, internally sourced reward. This healthy release of dopamine provides a powerful sense of positive reinforcement and motivation. Your brain begins to value the freedom, peace, and potential of a new life more than the false security of the toxic relationship, helping you break the neurological cycle of abuse. The Shaolin path to mental self-mastery and liberation. Modern science explains the what and why of manipulation and self-affirmation. Remarkably, these principles resonate perfectly with the ancient philosophy of the Shaolin Temple, as taught by masters like Shi Heng Yi. His teachings offer a powerful framework for mastering the self and navigating life's challenges, including toxic relationships. Internal focus, placing power back in your hands. Shi Heng Yi teaches that we cannot control the external world or others' actions. True power lies in mastering what is within us, our thoughts, emotions, and reactions. By turning your focus inward, you stop trying to fix or fight the manipulator and start fortifying your own inner world. You become the sole author of your own truth and value. This allows you to observe their provocations with a calm mind and make conscious decisions, becoming the master of your own mental space. Recovery and reclaiming your self-worth. Leaving a toxic relationship is not the end. It is the beginning of a journey of healing and self-reclamation. The courage to leave. Acknowledge that leaving takes immense bravery. You are overcoming fears of loneliness, judgment, and the unknown. Realizing you are right provides the inner fuel for this courageous act. Practical steps for a safe exit. Plan your departure. Secure finances, find a safe place, gather important documents, and inform a trusted support network. A no-contact rule is crucial to severing the manipulative ties. The journey of psychological recovery. Allow yourself to feel every emotion without judgment. Rebuild your self-esteem by celebrating small wins, learning new skills, and practicing self-care. Professional therapy can provide invaluable tools for processing trauma, e.g. CBT, EMDR. Building healthy future relationships. Learn from your past experience to recognize red flags. Understand that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, trust, equality, and open communication. With your self-worth restored, you will attract the love you truly deserve. Recognizing and escaping a toxic relationship is a challenging journey, but it is a path to liberation and rebirth. The pain and confusion caused by manipulative words can obscure your sense of self-worth. However, the true power to leave lies not in proving the manipulator wrong, but in realizing that you are right. You deserve love, respect, and a life of freedom. This paradigm shift is supported by profound psychological theories and can be powerfully actualized through the timeless wisdom of Shaolin self-mastery. By applying these principles, you equip yourself with the strength to break free from any manipulative chains. Trust your intuition. Face the truth with courage. And most importantly, remember that you hold the power to define your own value. Every step you take away from toxicity is not a failure, but a brave declaration of your right to live a happy, whole, and authentic life. A brighter future, one where you can build healthy relationships and live in alignment with your true self, awaits those who dare to stand up and reclaim their power. You are not alone, and you are strong enough to walk this path. Self-mastery and mental discipline. Making your mind an ally. Manipulation attacks your mental discipline, sowing chaos, fear, and guilt. Shaolin philosophy teaches that self-mastery is the ability to command your own mind, not letting it be controlled by external noise. This practice allows you to break the cycle of self-criticism sown by the manipulator. Stand firm in your belief in your own rightness when being gaslit. Build unshakable boundaries with a mind that has been trained for strength. Awareness and mindfulness, a light through the darkness. In Shaolin philosophy, mindfulness is the practice of observing reality with non-judgmental clarity. In the context of a toxic relationship, it is the ultimate tool for detecting hidden manipulation. It allows you to see through the disguise of caring words to the controlling intent behind them. Listen to your intuition, your earliest warning system. Recognize patterns of abuse, seeing them not as isolated incidents, but as a deliberate strategy. Decisive action, the strong step to freedom. In Shaolin thought, decisive action is the inevitable result of clear awareness. Once the truth is seen, hesitation only prolongs the harm. Leaving a toxic relationship is not an act of weakness or escape. It is the most powerful and intentional act to protect your inner harmony and self-worth. It is an act of supreme courage and self-respect. Action can range from setting firm new boundaries to cutting off contact completely. This decisiveness is the pinnacle of spiritual and mental self-mastery.